These are the rarest shiny Pokemon in every single Switch title. I've researched far and wide to find the rarest shiny Pokemon you can possibly get in each game, including ones that are pretty close to being the rarest, so make sure you guys stick around. I will be covering every Switch title from Pokemon Let's Go to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and any other future games that come out, I'll make a video on those. I'll be going from most recent to oldest. So the rarest shiny Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet are the 1 in 100 chance Pokemon such as Antique Sinistea, Artisan Poltergeist, 3 Segment the Dunsparce, and Family of 3 Mousehold. But there is also one other Pokemon that you cannot get anymore, being a rarer shiny Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet. First, I'll talk about how difficult it is to actually get the 1 in 100 Antique Sinesteas and other ones that I mentioned. It's basically impossible to tell if it's the Antique Sinistea or not. What you have to do is catch the Sinistea, and it's got a chance of being a 1 in 100 encounter that is slightly rarer. This is the shiny hunting method to get Sinistea and Poltergeist. And if it's shiny, you catch it, and it's got 1 in 100 chance of being antique or phony, which is what I got in this case. I would say it's equal rarity to get with these 1 in 100 shinies, but honestly, there is one rarer one to get, and that is Mousehold, which can be found next to the Pokemon League. Just because it is very hard to see if it's shiny or not. With the other 3, you can easily tell if they're shiny. You find Poltergeist in the Bamboo in Kitakami, and you find the Dunsparce by finding Dunsparces in Area 0 and evolving all those. But with Tandemaus, it is basically impossible to see if they're shiny. So to keep encountering them until it's shiny, then you try and catch them, and then you have to evolve it to see if it's a Family of 3 or not, because you can't really check it in any other way. So in the base game, Family of 3 Mousehold being shiny is the rarest, but there's also been an event known as the Gimmighoul event, where there's a 1 in 4096 chance in random raid battles, event raid battles at that you'd get a shiny Gimmighoul in the raid. Also, you can't tell if it's shiny in the raid, because it's basically identical to the normal one, but you basically just have to catch the Gimmighoul and check if it was shiny that way, and you had a 1 in 4096 chance every time you beat the raid, which is honestly insane odds. People who hunted this are pretty hardcore fans, and you can no longer get it anymore. There was a way to save before the raid, and you could host it for other players, I believe, but you have to save before every single raid, and you have to do 4096 to reach full odds. So it was very, very difficult to actually get a raid to host for other players. So technically the rarest was shiny Gimmighoul, but shiny Family of 3 Mousehold is the base game's rarest shiny. Now let's move on to the next game, Pokemon Legends Arceus. This game has got quite a few easy Pokemon to get, but we all know a few Pokemon that are just so painful to get. Some are tree encounters, some are from the distortion events, and yes, those are the rarest in the entire game. But what is the rarest? Well, Burmy and Cherrim can be found from trees. Burmy is a lot more common than Cherrim. Cherrim is probably the rarest one to find in the trees. The best odds for Cherubi in Coronet Highlands is a 19% chance, so a roughly 1 in 5 chance of getting a Cherubi or Cherrim, and the odds for Cherubi is 28%, which is very low. You can go for Cherubi in Obsidian Fieldlands, 1.8% chance from trees, which is kind of insane, and you've got a 75% chance of that encounter being a Cherubi, and a 20% chance for that being Cherrim. So Cherubi is the rarest tree encounter, but the rarest distortion encounter goes to the fossils, Shieldon and Cranidos. The Coronet Highlands has the most encounters out of any distortion event, meaning you've got a very low chance of finding a Cranidos or Shieldon in those events. And to get them shiny is even harder. But these hunts are just not fun. I prefer just going for tree encounters as like a rare shiny to get. Burmy's been my second favorite Pokemon ever, so I'll be trying to go for an alpha shiny Burmy one day. Mark my words. But let's go to the worst Switch game of all time. Here we are in Pokemon BDSP. This game has the most soft resettable encounters out of any game, and all these odds cannot be boosted by Shiny Charm. The Shiny Charm only works on the egg encounters, the rarest being a Shiny Fione, but that's not as rare as some of these other encounters. The soft resettables are a pain to get, 1 in 4096 for a shiny legendary or whatever you're going for, really. I would say the starters are the rarest, but you can also just breed them. So the rarest shinies are the legendaries you find during the game. Romana's Park with all those cool legendaries, or the lake spirits, and other encounters such as Shaman, Cresselia, you get the whole gist. But there is technically a rarest encounter. The second rarest is Cresselia. Let's go hunt down Cresselia real quick in Canalave City. I believe it's this house right here I have to go into. Let's talk to the sick child. Ferryman should be taking us to Full Moon Island to get Cresselia. This is the second rarest shiny Pokemon because it is a roaming encounter, and you can only see if it's shiny after you encounter it in its roaming encounter. So you can't see if it's shiny in this little island over here. You can't tell if it's shiny once you talk to it. So you got to save your game here, and then you got to go find the roaming encounter and stuff like that. It is probably the hardest. You can fast travel from this point though, which is nice. Which makes it the second rarest encounter, because the rarest encounter is the same thing, but for Mesprit, because it takes a bit longer to soft reset for it, basically. After you talk to the Cresselia or Mesprit, it will teleport to a random location on the map. You have to use your Poke Radar to track it down, basically, and you know the gist of it, how to actually find these things. But you find Mesprit at this lake over here, near the starting area. Wait, I just realized you can't fast travel from the island. Can you fast travel here at least? Okay, you can fast travel there. Okay, that changes things a little bit. Cresselia and Mesprit are equal rarity, I'd say. Mesprit can be found in this lake over here. I think the encounter is further away from the entrance. Yeah, it is. So I think Mesprit is actually the rarest. I was right before, okay. I just didn't know you could have fast travel in that little forest area where Cresselia was. But Mesprit spawns in the middle over here. Cresselia spawns pretty close to the entrance. So Mesprit is the rarest because once you enter the cave, you have to go out the cave to fast travel again. So Mesprit is the rarest, Cresselia is second rarest. And all the other soft resetables, such as this neat little Latios I got, would be the third rarest. Now let's go to Sword and Shield. Honestly, my favorite game. Why am I here and why am I getting chased by Sharpedo? But the rarest shiny Pokemon do come from the DLCs of Pokemon Sword and Shield. A lot of the encounters here are shiny locked, but the fourth rarest shiny Pokemon kind of thing are the fossils, because you have to go redeem your fossils and connect the two together, which is annoying because you have to select a bunch of options to actually revive a fossil. Then after reviving a few, you have to soft reset and then do it again. Now for some of the rarest. Okay, so the DLC has brought all these Dynamax Adventure legendaries and stuff like that, but they're quite easy to get, right? But some of the new legendaries you have to soft reset for, and the shiny odds aren't 1 in 100 like the Dynamax Adventures. And those Pokemon are the Regis. I actually did do a shiny hunt for the new Regidrago, and I took, I kid you not, 15,665 encounters to find a shiny Regidrago, almost 4 times over odds. I started the hunt in 2021 and I finished it in 2024 at the end of the year as well. So this hunt was a killer for me. It is 1 in 4,096, I believe. On the internet, some people say 1 in 8,100 and whatever, but I'm pretty sure it's 1 in 4,096, but these Regi encounters are some of the hardest in the game to shiny hunt. But the even rarer one is Regigigas, because you have to get all 5 Regis in your party, I believe. You have to trade for somebody else's Regieleki or Regidrago to actually do this as well. So it is technically harder to get, and is 1 in 4,096 chance once you enter the raid battle. But what if I told you these aren't even the rarest shiny Pokemon in the entire game? Because Sinistea exists, okay? I'm pretty sure some people were screaming, what about Sinistea? Sinistea antique form does exist in this game. You have to go to Glimwood Tangle to encounter it, or an easier way is to go to the wild area. 1 in 100 chance for antique Sinistea, just like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and that is technically the rarest in the game. I think the Regidrago and Regieleki encounters are cooler, but you know, we're here for the rarest ever, right? And we have gone over every single Switch game except for Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee. So what is the rarest in those games? I actually don't even own those games, but I do know the rarest to encounter. The first one I want to go over is Snorlax. You can only catch 2 Snorlax in the entire game, and it is a soft resettable encounter, 1 in 4,096. Now the fourth rarest is actually the legendary birds. You also have to soft reset for these legendary birds, but there are only 1 in the game, and it is also locked to a later part in the game. But since these encounters can be technically found in the wild as well at a very rare chance, I'm talking basically impossible to find a shiny one of these in the wild, you can still technically find them, which does make it slightly more common than the other soft resettable legendaries in the game. The third rarest are the trades in the post game. You can trade for a lowland Pokemon like Raichu and Meowth. Those are also soft resettable. And the second rarest are the fossils in the game. These fossils took the longest in John Stone's video where he shiny hunted every single Pokemon in that game, but it is technically easier to obtain than the last Pokemon on this list. And the rarest shiny Pokemon in Pokemon Let's Go is Mewtwo, the final Pokemon you catch. Mewtwo. It's 1 in 4,096, which is the most rare odds in the game, but this time the cutscene's a bit longer, and it is at the final point of the game. So that is it, the rarest shiny Pokemon in every single Switch game. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments which ones you'll be hunting for, and if there are any other rare ones I didn't mention, I'll make sure to pin your comment. And if you own some of these Pokemon, consider yourself the best shiny hunter in the world. Subscribe and like, and I'll see you guys in a new video. Goodbye.